What's up? I'm James Baney from the Resistance Broadcast and Star Wars Newsnet, and you're watching the Clone Wars Fan Show. Today we're going to be talking about Season 7, Episode 2, A Distant Echo. Alright, well first things first, we got to go ahead and rate this episode. And I got to be honest with you, I think this one was better than the Bad Batch. Again, I'm not following the old stories or the old pre-res stuff that they did before, so I'm kind of just going totally new on this. So I was surprised with a lot of things that happened in it. I am going to give this one an 8. Last one was 7.5. I like to give a little bit of comparison there. So if you guys are leaving comments below, make sure you put in the first episode as well. What did you rate that one? What are you rating this one? Yeah, but definitely an 8. I think a little bit of a step up. This particular episode had, I think, just a hair more story, whereas the first one was a lot of focused on setup and battle. So, I don't know. I think I just kind of resonate a little bit more with where these characters are going and things like that. All right, so from this point on, we're going to go ahead and talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode, I don't know why you're watching this, but we're going to talk spoilers, so let's get into it. All right, first things first. Anakin's back, right? We see Anakin. We see ObiWan. We even see a couple other characters, from like Wat Tambor. He shows up later in the episode. I think this is great. For some reason, I think that the first episode to me felt I don't want to say stale because it was fine, but it was all clones. I think that there was an issue with me making a personal connection with this. Like, I know some of these characters, but that was always one of the things that I thought was a little disconnecting from Clone Wars. Is a lot of the times it wasn't easy to place what character is what and who is who. When you watch the show over a long time, you learn that, but obviously it's a lot easier when your characters all look different and have different voices and wear different outfits, so that first episode again is like, hey, we just wanted to crash course you again. Remember the Clone Wars? And it was all clones, so it's a little hard to get into it. But this one obviously makes that difference by bringing in familiar characters. We even see Padme in this one, so that's good. And we'll get to that scene here in a second. So I don't know if it's like a reference to something bigger, but one of the first things I noticed about Hunter saying the line, oh, you hear the voice of someone you recognize, sounds like a trap to me, was the Rebels episode where Kanan was trying to search for Jedi Master Luminara Undari. Obviously, the way that ended was it ended up being a trap. They did plant her voice, and it all led into this. Ultimately, that isn't really where it looks like this episode went, because Echo seems to be alive. The Echo seems to be there. And it also seems like behind the scenes, not like part of the trick. The Separatist figures involved in this were very well aware that they didn't want them to find this secret base or this thing that they've rigged up using his mind, which I will say, by the way, I was right about. I had a guess that either he was actually legitimately working for them, or he was like hooked up to a system where they were like reading things out of his brain. I didn't actually think it was a trap, so I'll just say that. Right after that conversation, there is this thing that happens between Anakin and Rex that I loved, which was the whole, like, we have that thing. Oh, we don't have that thing. That's common. We've seen that before, but there was something, like in other media, but there was something about it that I feel like I don't remember seeing in the Clone Wars, or specifically this type of relationship between Anakin and Rex. And it continues in the next scene with them going into that room. I didn't know Rex was in on it. Am I crazy? I can't remember, but I didn't know that Rex was in on understanding and even helping out Anakin in these situations. But him like going to the bunk and projecting the hologram and like Rex keeping an eye out and stuff. It's funny too that Rex was really bad at lying. You would think he would I don't know, be better at it, I guess, because he's doing a favor and that's not part of what he understands as following the rules or something like that. So since he's breaking the rules, it shows a little bit more personality out of Rex, I think. But I did like the scene of Anakin and Padme together. I think he would have to be an idiot if he didn't know she was pregnant. She's like holding her stomach. So something's kind of weird here. I hope they kind of give us an answer to that. I don't know if they will or not. That might be it. Like, that was the scene from the trailer, so that might be it. Just we have to accept that maybe he didn't know, or maybe he did know and he acted really weird about it. No, that couldn't be. She straight up told him. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Coming out of the barracks, Anakin is very dismissive of ObiWan, and I remember this being the case with Clone Wars, that they were treated very much like equals, but I was like, man, he's being rather rude. Now, granted, he is trying to cover up something very specific, so maybe he's being a little bit more rude than he normally would to Obi-Wan. I mean, I don't know. The thing that I thought was interesting about this scene, and I think most people took it away, is that Obi-Wan, he knows. And I don't think this is what I just talked about. Like, I didn't know, with the pregnancy thing, like, does Anakin know or not or whatever. I think this is one of those things where Obi-Wan is just throwing out what he's pretty sure is the situation, but he's not actually saying it. He's like, say hi to Padme for me. And, Anakin just doesn't really give a response to that. I think that was probably the smartest choice. This is a little bit of a tease that Obi-Wan is aware of maybe what's going on, and he's trying to let Anakin know, like, yo, brother, I see you. I see what you're doing. Let's watch out here, but I also kind of got your back if something comes up. And Anakin just not giving a response to that is not acknowledging that he, like, heard Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? He kind of plays this thing off. And I like that he stayed silent, because if he addressed it as in, like, Padme, I don't know what you're talking about, or something that I don't know. Maybe that is or is not better. I don't know. But I like the dynamic. And I wanted to say, too, that, like, the animation was not... I saw a lot of people talking about how great the animation was in the first episode. I did not pick up on that. And again, I think it comes back to, like, everybody was clones. It was a lot of action or whatever. I really noticed it in this episode. I was like, it does not seem like the Anakin and the Obi-Wan that I remember. So I definitely think there was a lot of expression in this episode, and that was great. We didn't get a whole lot of these new creatures on this planet. I looked them up. The name was called Politex. I don't think that I was trying to kind of dive in a little bit to, like, what the old show was. Like, when I pulled it up, I was like, is that what they were called? Were they in the older episode or whatever? And I actually think they had a different name. Again, I don't really dive into those. I'm kind of staying away from them. But it's just a reference of, like, oh, did they do this in the other one too? Maybe a quick glance. And I think they changed their name on this. But I did like the species. I thought they're pretty cool. I like the whole process of translating the voices and stuff. I thought that was kind of neat. But I think that the most interesting part of their existence, like, they kind of don't really serve a purpose other than to be like, oh, the people on this planet, oh, they're crazy, and never mind, they just led us to where we needed to go. And I'm not sure how much more we're going to see of this alien race in, like, the subsequent episode, like the next one where they're maybe getting off the planet. Not really sure. But I think that the coolest thing was was Hunter shooting the line up, grabbing onto the thing and saying, I'm going for a ride, and being pulled in. I got a really cool feeling from 99 or the Bad Batch in this episode. I felt even more that they were a group of people that could really get things done and go and think outside of the box for these missions, then, oops, we got a notification. Than I did in the last one, even though their presentation was really well done of like, pushing the shield forward and stuff. All right, that's got to stop. But yeah, I really liked that pull scene. That was really cool. I will say a funny little thing. I noticed, okay, so they're standing outside of the big thing and they're talking about how they can't get Echo signal. And I think his name's Tech, like the Bad Batch Tech, Donatello. Anyway, he says something latency. And I was like, I don't think that's the right use of the word latency. If anybody knows, like maybe why that is the correct use of the word latency, it just threw me, and I thought it was like a little fun thing. Like, is that one of those terms that like people be like, oh, when we connect to the megabyte, then we'll be able to, and I'm like, that's not the correct term for megabyte, but I could understand people just overlooking that. Latency is like when your Bluetooth headphones are connected to your phone and they send a signal, how long is between the source and the thing. You're talking like milliseconds, and it's still a constant stream. There's just that like amount of time that passes that is not equal to, it's like when you do a live broadcast or something. That's latency. Latency is not the correct term in this case, because he would still be getting a direct connection. I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But help me out here and justify me in thinking that was the wrong word to use. Also, when they get up to the top of the tower, I love the look of these new droids. I don't know what it is about them necessarily. They're like stick droids or something. And they were fighting them, and I noticed that the clones have like really good aim, or accuracy, I should say. So they walk out and they're just immediately like boom, 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 and they're hitting all these guys. And I think that's to showcase like, wow, these guys are really good, like exceptionally good, skilled warriors. But it also got me thinking like, I don't know. Aren't these guys robots? Like the droids? You would think that their accuracy would be like really crazy. And you're thinking, well, they're cheaply made, but like even cheaply made robots, like in today's standard would be like, if we created an army of cheaply made robots, I think one of the things that they would be really good at is accuracy, because of just basic AI that we have today. You'd be able to like you could put a Ring doorbell on the front of a droid and be like face recognition and then like aim something at that. I don't know. But I thought that was kind of funny. Also, when Wat Tambor shows up, we see the return of the jelly wall, which I can't think of another time that it's been used. Actually, maybe there was another time that I'm thinking of, but in the Phantom Menace, like one of the first scenes is like, they're on the trade ship and like this giant like jelly wall thing comes up, and we see Padme Amidala, and she's like totally normal. It's not like a hologram or something, and they just like completely abandoned that idea, I guess. Maybe afterthought, they thought it was weird, or maybe it was too futuristic for what later they used for the holograms or something. I'm not really sure, but it definitely returns in this episode, and I was like, the jelly wall's back. And I love that they get completely surrounded. Like, the Wat Tambor's like, it's a trap, execute them, and then like there's tons of droids, and granted one of them like starts shooting right away, but everybody else is just kind of like standing around, and then Hunter does, of course, the obvious thing, the best thing he possibly could do. He takes out a knife and throws it at one droid. And the droid goes through the whole process of being malfunctioned, killed, falls over, and Hunter has enough time to walk up and pick up his other knife before all the other droids start shooting. Seems not accurate to what would have happened, but okay. But besides that, after all that, we get into the room. Rex opens up the thing, and we see Genova. Echo, right? He's in this chamber. They open him up. He falls out. He's all connected with the wires and stuff, and they pull him out. And like I said before, I'm thinking, I'm right. Hey, looks like he's connected, and he still thinks he's like at the Citadel and stuff. So I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about predictions where we think this is gonna go. So I think I don't know. It's so unfair because I know that other people know where this goes. They've seen the episode, or I could just easily look it up if I wanted to, but I really don't know. And like I said, I've seen it before, but like it's been so long. I'm going to say that while hooked up to the machines, Echo was able to maybe learn a little bit about the Confederacy's plans and what they're doing. And now, as someone who has just been like reborn, if you will, he's going to come out of the machine and he's going to be like, I saw things, I can't quite put it together, but maybe, this is where they're doing things. Maybe this is their plan. And he's going to kind of be like not trusted, maybe. I think obviously certain people will trust him and be like, yeah, he's a legit dude or whatever. But there might be some question like from the council of like, well, I don't know, man, he was hooked up. He's been working technically for the Confederacy and he's out of it and he doesn't know who's who. Maybe he will make some honest mistakes too. Like maybe he will call people by the wrong name or something that hints at like, hey, I may be a little out of it, but I know what I saw, so it's kind of one of those things where it's going to be a toss-up. But I think that as we near the end of the Clone Wars, I think we got to give it a little bit of a hand to the fact that they might actually be kind of wrapping up things. So a little bit of good success on the side of the Jedi and on the Republic, could be good. So maybe that's where the next episode is going to go, is like learning to trust Echo. That's just a guess. So since I'm probably entirely wrong about where that prediction is going to go, don't spoil it. But if you have any predictions, put those in the YouTube comments. And I think that's going to have to wrap up this episode 2 of the Clone Wars fan show. So again, I'm James Baney, and I represent the Resistance Broadcast and Star Wars Newsnet. If you guys want to see more of me and my podcast partners, check out the podcast, Resistance Broadcast. We do episodes every Monday and Thursday, and if you are not into that, but you just want to keep up with Star Wars news, Star Wars Newsnet. Head over to the website and check out all the latest stuff when we're talking about comics and news of Project Luminous and things like that. So make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Pick up everything that Star Wars Newsnet is doing. And until then, till episode 3, I'll see you later.